Welcome back to Creators United, your favorite and perhaps the only crossover podcast that you listen to. I am your host for this episode. My name is Ryan. I also play the sophisticated gentleman on the No New Friends podcast. I am RJ on the Diz His podcast occasionally, the trivia tour guide on Remy's Roundtable, but my overall podcast that I individually run, Cases of Continuity. I am the Holy Spirit, joined in virtual studio by the Father, Scott, from the No New Friends podcast.
You know, with all those split personalities, maybe you should see a medical professional.
I'm not married.
No.
Oh, wow. All right.
And I am joined by the son, the host of Big Beautiful Diz, Dane.
Hello, hello.
And I am very honored to welcome our guest for this fourth episode from the No New Friends podcast and Diz His, as well as originally a Diz Journey. Please join me in welcoming the scumbag reselling hoarder himself, Chris Yobb.
You're honored. I'm disappointed. I thought this was Remy's Roundtable.
You went on the wrong show.
Yeah, I pronounced everything correctly. You should have known.
I don't know that
Chris,
you're good enough
Chris,
to get
Chris,
invited on Remy's Roundtable.
That
You have
is
to settle
true.
for this one.
That is
Exactly. You should be grateful. As a matter of fact, this is what you should be saying right now,
Well, the pleasure is all yours.
because you should be grateful that you're on this show right now.
true. So, what tragedy are we talking about today, guys?
Well, actually, I was just about to get into your
The-
podcasting career, so I guess that.
Oh, wow.
I was gonna say the tragedy
Oh
of
my
Dane having this
God.
damn soundboard.
Wow.
That's true. That's true.
Oh,
I have too
wow.
much power with this thing. I really do.
See, Chris, if you've listened to the previous episodes, you
Colored
know that
people.
when I introduce a host, I like to immediately ask about their history. So what can you tell us about how you got originally started? Just what shows are you a part of right now? Very briefly, we'll get more into the weeds a little bit later in the show, especially Diz His, since you're our first Diz His host that we've had. on.
I don't remember, honestly. We can just skip this question.
Awesome.
He's
so
on
I,
all of them. He's on The Office Ladies. He's on
Yeah,
Full
he
House
is.
Rewind, Joe Rogan Experience.
long story short, I started out as a listener of the Diz His podcast, got real close with the host of that podcast. We started gaming several nights a week. And then I eventually wound up on not Remy's Roundtable. It was basically that Diz Journey, which was a collaboration
much.
between a bunch of different podcasts. And that's how I met Scott. And Scott invited me aboard the No New Friends podcast around episode 22, I think it was.
Yeah,
Was the
something like
official
that.
first episode. Yeah. And yeah, like you said, we'll get more into the weeds later. But you know, for flash forward to today, now I am on I have a host on the No New Friends podcast and on the Diz His podcast. So kind of pretty interesting journey I've had.
And might I add, I feel like you've, in my opinion, you kind of sold yourself short there. Not only have you been a host on both Diz His and No New Friends, you were really the first recurring segment on No New Friends that lasted until today. Chris's Cliff Notes, which has become so iconic, it's been parodied multiple times on other podcasts that will
That's
remain
true.
nameless. You have been one of the driving forces behind the reinvention of the Diz His podcast, looking at redesigning the logos, redesigning the reach out towards the fans. So you've had some major roles in both of those shows. Although you weren't a founding member of either of them, you are an integral member in the development and history of both of them.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. I don't look at myself as that. I do what I can to help the shows go on and just be as entertaining as possible, whatever that might be. My talents are sometimes just doing nothing but showing up one week, and then other weeks it's designing merch. It varies.
Yeah.
Hey,
You
Scott, I
hate
gotta-
hosting, right? You don't like to host, Chris?
I don't like to host. I do.
All right,
not
so
like to host.
so Chris is now your host for this evening, even though he's not a technical.
All right, guys,
You know what's-
I gotta run.
What's so funny about that is Chris is so good at hosting After
Can Chris
Dark.
do the outro for this episode?
I remember I got a hard out at 9.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got to be
So
out of here
that's
at 9:30.
PM.
Yeah, that's not.
But Chris is so gifted at hosting After Dark, but I'll be damned if I ever let him host a Sunday night episode ever again.
I will be damned as well, Scott. I would never let you do that to your.
You know what's
Now we just get birthday messages instead of the host.
Yes,
instead of
it's much easier.
It's all Chris's fault.
You know what's really funny about that? That like you weren't terrible. It wasn't terrible. It was that damn improv game that was god awful. And that was my fault. So it really wasn't your fault.
It was pretty
It's
fun.
just
The improv
the
game.
running joke.
Scott is secretly sabotaging other people who host. When I hosted, he had to be on the episode, even though he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, all of a sudden he was just magically able to be there.
Yeah,
Now, I
that
did want
is
to ask
true.
you, Scott. Obviously, you were the person who originally invited Chris to be on the No New Friends podcast. So, can you tell us kind of what you saw in him and why you decided to bring on a third person after it had been just you and Mary for 22 episodes?
Well, I knew that if I was ever going to switch teams and become gay, Chris would be my type. So I wanted to kind of lay the groundwork for that.
Been repeated a lot, actually. He's not joking. This is actually true.
No, Ryan, I knew after episode 7 that we were going to eventually need a third person. And I wasn't going to necessarily force it. It had to be the right third person. And honestly, it was originally supposed to be Craig Brooks from episode 7, Politics, Pimples, and Pleasures. But he had a different vision of what he wanted things to become. He wanted it to become more of a hospitality podcast. And we tried that. If you listen, after episode 7, we do a couple hospitality segments, and I hated them. I absolutely hated them. And I've tried them. I've tried to bring them back a couple times, and I'm just miserable talking about it. So I just decided, that's not really the way to go. And we're not going to force it. We'll just kind of wait and see what happens. And everybody kind of knows the story, but we had Remy on for the Gone Too Soon episode, and he invited us on Diz Journey. Diz still a lot of confusion.
Diz Journey.
Yeah, Diz Journey. And we met Chris and Joe and Alex and Remy. And I was like, hey, why don't you guys, we'll have all 3 of you guys on at some point. And Chris was the first one, but I remember after Diz Journey, I said something to Mary. I said, Chris has something, and I want to see how the episode goes with him on. And because we both agreed we needed a third. Things were starting to get a little stale, and Chris was just very funny. We immediately had chemistry, and that was going to be tough for whoever came in to be the third person. That was going to be a tough thing to break into, as the chemistry between myself and Mary, but also identifying that they're not there to be kind of an equal player. They're going to be a background player and just jump in when needed. And Chris understood that. Chris understood his role extremely well. Now, obviously, Chris's role has evolved immensely since then. And thank God it did, because I think Chris's evolution is key to where we are right now, and key to why we're so entertaining is because of Chris and his evolution. So anyway, he was funny. I knew we would gel well with him, and I knew I had to have him. And I remember just kind of saying, hey, how do you want to, what do you think about doing this full time, or, regularly? And he's like, all right, cool. I'm like, great. It's just you and me tomorrow, because that was when we were recording 3 episodes per week.
Yeah,
So that's kind of the history. And just, I have, I'm not good at many things in life, Ryan. And, but one of the things that I consider myself very good at is identifying talent. And
that is true.
Not only identifying talent, but knowing how to best utilize it. And, especially, we talked about Cliff's Notes a little bit, especially after that Father's Day episode, when he had 15 minutes to prepare a monologue, and he did it magnificently. And I was like, hey, I want to challenge you. What do you think about doing this Cliff's Notes things? And obviously it's brilliant. But we've also struck gold with Sarah, who I had heard one time on.
Is Sarah okay? Is she doing all right?
Thoughts and prayers to her. We're very concerned about her hand.
Okay, wait till
We'll
after the
have to
episode,
say a
guys.
prayer for her later.
Yeah, we will. Maybe an R. Remy.
Of course.
But I'd heard her one time on one episode of Nerd Archive. She didn't say much, but what she said was valuable, and I was like, she's gonna fit, and I have to have her. And then Nick, of course,
she's married, Scott, and you are too. Just keep that in mind.
You might have to add it to the soundboard. She's gonna fit, and I have to have her.
Drugs. That's it.
And then Nick as well. Nick has come out of his shell in After Dark, and the timing was right to add him. And, you know, I know 5 people is a lot, but everybody kind of has their specific role and everybody is there for a reason. And I think that we have figured out how to do it with 5
Yeah.
people because it's tough. It's tough.
It is. It is.
Oh,
Hey,
absolutely. Now-
can we say a quick prayer to Remy?
Well, actually, that's what I was about to
just
go
because
into.
we're thinking of Sarah in this time. Can we just say a quick prayer just to get the spirits right, please?
All right, everyone,
If
bow
everyone
your
could
heads.
just bow their heads. Thank you to Dane for getting me the original Remy prayer from Travels and Tribulations a few weeks back. Not improv this time. Let us pray. Lord Remy, who art in the waiting room, a rat sure is your name. May your editing come, merging audio be done, while you're naked in bed eating popcorn. Give us the birthday game in Mark's 5 minutes, and forgive us not for the wheel of misfortune. And lead us not to Halloween Horror Nights with $1 million. I have a question for you, Chris. And it'll be for
Yes.
everyone, but I want to start with Chris here. If you could cut the lifespan in half of any person living or dead today, who would it
This is
be?
an obvious one.
Probably is Gandhi still living? Like there's definitely like a Gandhi, right? I just feel like I just feel like the passing of the torches would be cool to see.
no.
Gandhi did
You're
good
cutting their
things.
lifespan in half.
He wasn't an evil guy, Gandhi.
No,
Chris,
I
you're
know,
not,
but
you're not doubling their lifespan. You're cutting their lifespan in half, so they only lived half of what their life was.
No, I understood the question. So is Gandhi one of those like things like the Pope? Like there's just another Gandhi, or is that?
No, it was
No.
just one.
No.
dude.
Oh, the Dalai
No,
Lama.
Gandhi-
name.
I was thinking of the Dalai Lama.
No.
So the Dalai Lama, just because I would just like to see what goes into the selection process of the Dalai Lama, and I'm afraid he will outlive me. But if I cut his lifespan in half, then I will get to
Right.
witness the passing of the torches.
Yeah, you
Dalai
can
Lama.
We're
witness
talking
a
about
uh,
improv and
Invention.
Chris and think jokes on the spot.
And
That was impressive.
that's not a joke, actually. That's actually something I thought about for a while now.
It's
Thank
easy
you
for
asking
me.
that.
100% Jimmy Carter. I'm
He wouldn't
I
have
am
been president though.
Oh, so we cut like okay, so
You're
if he's
cutting lifespan
99
in
years
half.
old.
so
then-
however old
Oh,
Eldie
I
is
thought-
right now. Okay.
I thought we're cutting the lifespan.
I think this
of what
is
he has
real
left.
easy. Then
Oh,
there's an
that's what I
obvious
thought
answer.
too.
There's an
So, like,
obvious
they die
answer
at
here.
like 50 instead of 100.
There's an obvious answer here. I think.
It's
there's
not as
many
obvious.
There's many obvious answers. I think, guys.
I think,
Um,
how old was Bill Cosby when the rape started? Maybe we could do Bill Cosby.
Was he?
That's a good
was he
question.
50?
Prevent
Wasn't he like
America's
40 something?
prevent
older than
America's
that?
dad, and also the
How old
rape.
was the Cosby
I'm
Show?
gonna say
when that happened?
Hitler.
He was like 40 something.
Good answer.
Good answer,
That's a cop out, Scott.
No, yeah, I think that's
So,
it. That's the correct
Dane,
answer.
what was
one of
your
the
obvious answer?
Hitler probably, or
Well, it's a cop
Osama,
out. Cop out.
or-
See,
Well,
I thought
those are
someone was
obvious
gonna go with
answers. Those
Donald
are
Trump,
people that
and I
Yeah,
disagree
Trump.
completely because he's just way too comical.
Oh
and
yeah,
brings
no.
way
I
Well,
hope
the
he-
thing
I-
about
I hope we double his lifespan.
the thing about Trump is that I mean there was thousands of people that were killed under his presidency, but the coronavirus
millions.
still would have the coronavirus still would have been a virus and killed a lot of people. Not as many, maybe, but it still would be a thing.
See,
He didn't create it. So
I would probably go with Gerard Schrader, the inventor of nerve agents.
Hmm.
He first discovered he was a Nazi, and I believe he discovered VX originally.
oh, all right.
Like
DX, like
visual
Triple H?
effects,
Like the nerve agent VX.
Do you have any?
VX gas.
Yeah. that-
God, it's great.
So
Can you play it?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question to ask though, because obviously us
There's
as
a lot.
mortal
There's a
men
lot of
have
people.
like we have no control over life and death. As we talked about back in week 1, obviously you don't want to kill somebody unless you're
Hey,
mentally
what about the
unstable.
Queen? What about the Queen of England? She was a pretty
Mm.
terrible person.
There's
you
a
know?
lot
Yeah,
of bad
that
people
just
out there, but at the end of the
Runs
day,
in the family.
what's
There
written
is.
in history is written in history. We have these regrets that perhaps we'd want to change, but
That is
instead we
true.
have to work with the present. I don't know why I made this philosophical on a comedy podcast. But Dane, I think
I
you
would
have-
Well, Ryan, I would like to apologize for you. Oh, hold on.
For those who are listening to the podcast, Dane is eating a sandwich in reference to Remy eating a
Oh,
sandwich on Remy's roundtable during a 9/11
I'm sorry,
apology.
I was real hungry. But yeah, I would like to apologize to anyone who was offended by this segment. It
Meanwhile,
was
Scott
Ryan's
taking a
idea,
big
not mine.
sip of his drink,
Yes.
continuing the Remy's roundtable tradition during apologies.
Let's get to something more lighthearted. This question went up in flames, just like a
Easy.
well, let's the Broncos got beat 70-20 this week on Sunday. That was an event.
Yeah, Colorado football hasn't received
I
that
don't wanna
big
talk
of a
about that.
beat down. That was a glorious day as a Dolphins fan.
was incredible.
Amazing.
It was incredible.
Dolphins are a class act organization, not kicking that field goal at the end of the
Yes.
game. Because they've got their eyes set on the bigger picture, and that's a Super Bowl. And why risk the karma by kicking that unnecessary field goal just to be in the record book?
They should have done it. They should.
You think that Travis Kelce is going to win the MVP this year so that Taylor Swift keeps dating him and that
He
the
already
NFL
has.
gets more money?
He already has won the MVP.
That's true. You are
what
right.
does
Chris,
MVP
you're
stand for in your book, Chris?
Most viable penis.
Chris, the Eagles won. Who did the Eagles play? I forget.
The Bucks on Monday Night Football.
The Bucks. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. That was a good game.
for the
It was
Eagles.
a good game.
Yes.
If you're an Eagles fan. Yeah,
yes,
you're right.
not if you're a Bucks fan. It was a
That's
horrible
true.
game if you're a Bucks fan.
So everyone in this call is playing fantasy football.
This is my first
bes-
year playing fantasy football, actually.
Yeah, besides me, because I didn't get into a league this year. We should have
I'm
had a
sorry.
creators unite,
I'm sorry.
man.
I don't want to.
Hey,
I
it's
don't want to do
all
it.
right.
I don't want to do the
It's
work.
all right.
don't
I
wanna do
know.
the work.
I could have
And
been.
everybody was
the
like, "Oh yeah, I'm in," and then, "Oh, just kidding, I'm out."
commissioner. Yeah, that's right. You're right.
Well, what
How's
other
everyone's fantasy
things are
football
out there
going?
that exist?
What's that, Ryan?
Like, what's the most ridiculous fantasy thing out there that somebody could create fantasy for?
Probably performances in the bedroom. I would think
That's an interesting.
somebody
concept.
created a league out of that. Like, could you imagine?
Is that because all of Scott's are just a fantasy?
Fantasy bachelor or bachelorette.
Yeah,
I guess
have heard
guess
of that.
fantasy bedroom scenarios would be like more of a bingo card.
Why do
Like,
you
you
keep
put a-
going
you
back
put
to
a
this
chip.
game? That's what I want to know.
I'm actually interested. now.
Because you posed the question, man. What do you think that it's that type of show? What do you think, man? Like, you're gonna ask that type of question, and I'm not gonna bring it there. Like, what do you think the answer is gonna be?
Jared just said he's in a cash league. Wasn't sure if he was referencing football or the
bedroom stuff.
The bedroom.
I'm
stuff.
gonna say football. I hope.
Let us know in the chat, Jared.
Here's the
I
thing.
hope.
There is no silly fantasy anything, because I love fantasy drafts. I mean, if we wanted to do a
they're the
fantasy
best.
draft for where
They're
I
the
want to eat
best.
dinner tonight, like that's all. I'm down. Let's select a draft order.
Well,
Let me
Rachel would
do
get
some
the number one
research.
pick because she wins that.
She would defer.
wins every-
She would
wins
defer.
every-
She would say, "I don't know what you want to do,"
Ooh.
and it would be this,
Oh, that
thing.
is correct.
So I could do a fantasy draft for anything. In fact, I do at work. The servers have to like pick their stations and all that, and I make a draft out of it every night.
Do you put a draft board?
Yeah, big
Would-
draft board.
We may have to
That's-
take you up on this offer, Scott. Perhaps next episode that'll be our game, seeing what Scott can make a fantasy draft out
What
of.
Scott can make a
I would
fantasy
like to.
football.
Yeah, I
There
actually
it
would like
is.
you
Now
to
he's
do a
excited.
Now he's
fantasy
excited.
draft of
Now
high-profile
he's
predators.
You could.
Chris Hansen will
absolutely do it.
host.
Yeah.
Will you be
Why-
playing
why?
Chris Hansen?
I could actually.
Can you sing?
Have you
Oompa?
guys ever seen?
That
Have
was
you
him,
guys
right?
ever
Hansen.
seen? Have you ever seen that video of it's like the two FIFA teams, and it's like heaven versus hell, and like on heaven it's like the greatest people in the world, and then on the hell team it's like the worst players. it's like criminals and stuff
Like
like
Aaron
that.
Hernandez.
Yeah, exactly. There's like Hitler and stuff like that.
I
Hitler,
like
Hitler
the
plays
idea of
striker or
that.
something like that.
I'm getting
Can-
sick of Jamar Gibbs, by the way.
Jameer Gibbs.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
You'd be sick of the Detroit Lions for underutilizing him.
Yeah.
They picked him number 14 overall, and he has like 14 carries this year.
It's driving me nuts. I've got him in 2 leagues, and I benched him in in one of my leagues. I went with McCaffrey, Walker, and Zach Moss.
Oh,
Does it
McCaffrey's
feel
good
like
bet.
there's more injuries already?
Oh yeah.
It feels like there's a lot more injuries this year than other years.
I have Eckler.
Especially
I'm
in
so
quarterback
sad.
position.
Eckler always gets Eckler gets hurt
Eckler's
every
injury
year.
prone.
Mhm.
But just running backs in general are injury prone.
McCaffrey always gets hurt, except this year so far.
Yeah,
Barkley
but
always
Only week
gets hurt.
3.
Barkley,
That's
yeah.
true.
Barkley always gets hurt.
Barkley gets hurt in like week 2 and is done for the year.
Like
every
horrible
single year.
injuries,
Yeah,
too.
horrible injuries too. I don't know how he keeps coming back from them.
It's easy
Nick
to come back from
Nick
Achilles
Chubb. I
tears.
don't know how Nick Chubb is going to come back. I
Well-
think that's a
Yeah,
devastating.
like dude's like knee was bent behind his neck.
Yeah, it was
It's like, oh,
horrible.
it's just a flesh wound.
Horrible.
Great reference. Great reference.
That is a good reference. That's an amazing reference.
Dang it! I should have included that in that 7-minute travels and tribulations that one week.
You go back and edit it in. You have time.
Mm-mm.
How about them Phillies?
Very
Since we're
excited.
on the
Signed
topic
up.
of sports. Amazing.
Signed up for the raffle for a chance to win playoff tickets. Well, win the.
Are you gonna be
opportunity
able to-
purchase playoff?
Are you going to be
tickets.
able to go?
Oh, it's against the law for them to not let me in, Dane. I will cause a scene.
Oh, you're all right. I mean, are you physically going to be like able?
I will
to
find
get
out on
there?
Wednesday. I'll find.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I have wheelchair vans in my fleet. I'll
Oh,
get there.
right.
I'll get there one way or the other.
You're good. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it up style and float to the game.
So obviously, between the four of us, we've got fans of football and baseball. We haven't talked about basketball, but I know for a fact we've got a big Magic fan. I know Dane and I.
Magic. There's no
Magic.
S at the end.
All right.
Magic.
All right. I know Dane and I are big Celtics
Magics.
fans. I guess that's where I was thinking
Yes,
about the
sir.
S from the Celtics. Are you
Celtics
a
is-
Sixers fan, Chris?
Yes, unfortunately, I am a huge Sixers fan.
All right. So we've got basketball fans.
He's a
I'm
huge
assuming-
Sixers fan. He's not a very he doesn't really like him that much. He's just a large human being.
And then I'm assuming we've got some hockey fans, hockey fan myself. What sports do you guys can't stand? You put it on for the Olympics and it's something that you have to turn it
Oh.
off.
Track
So
and field.
So wait, we enjoy it during the Olympics, but never anything
No,
else.
no. You if it's on, you will actively
Oh.
choose not to watch. Like for me with golf, I just can't watch golf.
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
golf.
I
Yeah.
try to get into golf. Mine's
I can-
college sports.
Oh,
I love
don't-
college. Love.
Yeah,
We are.
I don't love college basketball
I
until
can't get into college basketball.
March Madness.
Yeah, March Madness I always watch.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
but for me, college football is by far my favorite.
That's not part
uh,
of our culture up here, Scott. And
It's
I don't know
not.
if you
That's-
have like
No,
it's
it
not
isn't.
not
Because
part
you
of
don't
the
have. I mean,
Northeast
Rutgers is
culture,
your
Exactly.
best team.
which is
um,
not a good team. It's like
No,
maybe Narcissus by saying best team.
yeah, you don't have anybody in Jersey, Philly.
Villanova was good for a while.
Oh,
don't
I
really
follow
know how they're-
Villanova basketball for sure. Like when they make it to the into the
Does Villanova have a football team?
no, yeah,
I
they
don't think
do,
so.
but
I was
I'm-
talking about. I was talking about
basketball.
Basketball. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's
Um,
interesting.
Yes,
the
but I
cultural
can
differences.
understand that,
Football.
Chris.
Penn State's doing amazing this year.
I think Brian Westbrook went to Villanova.
That's your closest. That's your Penn State. That's probably your closest
Yeah,
good
for
school.
football.
So yeah, it's
Well,
hard.
Pitt's good depending on who their quarterback is. Some years.
Yeah, but
We
I
don't-
can
not
see-
very
Pittsburgh.
often, but
I can see that it can be difficult up north or in certain parts to really get behind college football. I mean, it is
yeah.
down here. It is. I mean, we've got three of Miami.
Oh yeah, you have
UF and FSU. I mean, they're
Oh,
always
not to mention Georgia, the best in the country.
Georgia Tech. I mean, and
But
we're
then
down
I-
south.
yeah. I feel like when you go closer to the Northeast around Jersey up into New England, it's not at all about cultural. It's all about professional football. Whether you're a
100%.
Giants,
Oh,
Jets,
yeah.
Patriots, Eagles,
Yeah.
Steelers fan.
Yep.
like,
I was behind Penn State for a while until they started getting behind their own players, and then I stopped. And
You're right.
You know, it was hard. It was hard to
That
wear a
is-
shirt out in public.
That is.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
Penn State's
Um,
doing real good this year, though. I mean,
Are they? What are they ranked?
They're not.
7.
Penn State.
Yeah, they were. I mean, before they got another big win.
Meanwhile, I don't know if you guys heard about that Notre Dame game where they only had 10 players on the field at the very end.
Yeah, that
where
was
where is
dumb.
Notre Dame? Like, where do they play?
Illinois.
I don't even know.
South
Illinois?
Bend,
I would
South
never
Bend,
get.
Bend,
Indiana.
Indiana.
Never would have guessed that.
Oh, Penn State's number 6, right?
Number 6,
right
right.
behind FSU.
He was in
Wow.
the top 4.
Wow.
FSU dropped to number 5 out of that after that close win to Clemson, and Ohio State beat Notre Dame.
I don't know, man. I mean, there's a reason that Ohio State is always considered to be one of the top teams.
Oh, fuck Ohio State. Come
Yeah,
on.
fuck Ohio State.
Yeah.
Hey, we're better than Bama, fan
This-
base
yeah.
wise.
The only
I
time
hate
I-
Bama.
The only time I ever liked Ohio State is when Urban Meyer was the head coach, because there is
I loved
one-
him as the Jaguars coach.
Well, yeah. Florida Gator fans hate Urban Meyer. So it gave me great joy to watch Florida fans just hate someone as much as they hated Urban Meyer.
I think we've talked quite a bit of sports, and I did definitely want to make sure we chatted about some sports. Well, we had all 4 of us
Yes,
here because
sir.
I know we're all big sports fans. I do want to get into our game because I know Scott has a hard out time at 9:30, as he has reminded us. So I know I mentioned at the beginning that we were going to be playing some Jeopardy so that we could finally get Scott to play.
sir.
Actually, I think we want to do something a little bit different.
We're
Let's-
not doing the Jeopardy, guys. Jeopardy's not happening. We
not?
have a mystery guest for you. We have a selection of mystery guests for you. So we have 3 select mystery guests for you. So you guys get to choose who we bring into the Zoom meeting. All right. So you get to pick either curtain number 1, curtain number 2, or curtain number 3. Which one do you
has to
want
be
to pick?
unanimous between the 2 of y'all.
What
Exactly.
do you think, Scott? 1, 2, or 3?
Well, odd numbers scare me. So
You know what? I was thinking the same thing. Right in the
So,
middle. Let's go.
yeah,
2.
curtain number 2.
Let's go.
Curtain number 2. All right.
All right, Dane.
let's
Start it off
let's
for us.
see. Let's see who's behind curtain number 2.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse
Okay, we're
alejados
all
de
here
las
on the
puertas.
monorail. Has everybody completed their tasks? Is Alex taken care of?
Turned on a movie and he fell asleep.
Great. And Joe?
I convinced him he needed to go on another cruise.
Awesome. How about Chris?
I have him chloroformed in my basement.
Don't worry, chloroform is pretty harmless. Don't ask me how I know.
Okay, then. Well, I guess it's official. The Goof Troop has officially taken over this episode.
So, Chris, you didn't get to
Guys,
partake in the Patreon only.
Welcome to
episode
the
of Diz His
welcome to the
podcast.
Patreon Diz His episode.
We got someone to read us some questions here. Please welcome from the No New
Please-
Friends
please
podcast
welcome.
and Diz His Game Master Ryan.
Hey guys, this is Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, I got
What's
a
up,
question
Ryan?
for
How are
you
you?
here. For Media Monday, what classic Disney movie or attraction would you like to see the Muppet spoof?
Oh,
Good question, Ryan. Thank you
Oh,
very
thank
much.
you, Ryan.
Movie,
Thank you.
movie or attraction?
Song of the South.
Princess Bride.
In
Princess Bride.
it would
That's a
be
good one.
it would be okay, so if we're doing non-Disney IP, I'd go Robin Hood Men in Tights
Good answer.
or Blazing Saddles.
Oh my God.
I've
Genius
always
answer.
thought that the Muppets should do Princess Bride. I think
that
that would be epic.
something else.
Mhm. I think you would keep Buttercup as the human and everybody else is Muppets.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Is that all Ryan came here for?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
no,
that's
wait.
all I came. Hey, whoa,
What about
sophisticated. You
my
didn't.
answer. I didn't.
Yeah,
get the
you didn't answer. Hold on,
Oh.
hold on. We're not
The-
done with this
I
segment.
feel
yet.
I'd like to
Oh.
do something ridiculously serious. So, like, I feel like Gone with the Wind to see if the Muppets can suck out the racism from it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
I don't remember my answer from the actual episode. So, Muppets parodying. Well, Lion King would be very funny.
I think that was your
Um,
answer on the show, actually.
Was it?
I'm
Oh yeah,
pretty sure
Lion
it
King would
was.
be really good. Emperor's New Groove would be great. Could you imagine? Like that would be fantastic. Now,
Empress is
guys,
sleeping.
he only gave us the Monday question. I do believe that there are more days of the week than just Monday.
What
So
day comes
please-
next, Dane?
I believe it's Tuesday. So let's see what our question is for Tuesday. So we have please welcome Lord Remy himself for the Tuesday question. Remy, he is connecting to audio as we speak. He is connected to audio. Remy, how are you doing? How are you doing, my man? What do you have? What is the question you have for us this evening?
Well, guys, from the Lord Remy himself, I got a question to ask you guys. Who are your top three Pixar or Disney villains?
Oh.
Thank you for clarifying as well, because it was not clarified on the original
It was
version.
not. Yeah, it wasn't.
So Pixar or Disney villains?
Pixar or Disney villains?
All right. I'm gonna do Pixar because I heard Pixar first. I'm gonna go Sid.
All right.
Terrifying as a kid, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go the grasshopper, which his name's escaped me from A Bug's Life.
Ooh, Hopper.
And lastly, Mr. Incredible. Because he took Elastigirl off the market.
Yeah,
I'm a little surprised. I thought for sure you were going Scar.
He's not Pixar. I was just going Pixar. Pixar. I heard Pixar first. So I was just going.
Yeah.
My mind immediately went Pixar. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna say my favorite villain would be the great abuela in Coco. Yeah, the abuelas
Yeah.
suck.
They're just Hispanic grandmothers.
Yeah,
Just
they can
terrible
take
people, I
they
guess.
could take their flip flop and shove it.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's all right. Ryan, what is your answer?
I got. What was this? Sidekicks? Was this originally like? What's your?
I don't
top three
even know.
sidekicks?
I don't even. No, it wasn't. It was villains. It was.
Oh,
Villains.
okay. Well, then I'm gonna have to go with Hades.
Even if it
Yzma.
was sidekicks, no one's going to hear the actual episodes.
That's true. Hades, Yzma, and probably Captain Hook's always a classic.
Oh,
Either Hook and
That is
Jafar.
true. That is true.
Dane?
Okay. Probably so. Disney and Pixar, right? So, right, it's Disney and Pixar. I'm so confused.
Pixar.
This question is so terrible.
Remy
it's
did a
such
very
bad-
good job of wording
Yeah,
compared
dude,
to how it was.
Remy,
originally worded.
Remy has not written this question. This is from the actual Patreon episode that we always talk about. This question is terrible. So Dr. Facilier,
Oh,
Syndrome.
Oh, come on. You gotta admit this is cool.
You gotta love Yzma. Gotta love Yzma. That's a classic. That's a classic movie.
now Scott, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
This was Tuesday. What day comes after Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. What do we got
Wednesday.
for Wednesday, Dane? Show them what they won.
Well, they haven't.
Oh.
They didn't win anything, unfortunately. But we do have somebody for Wednesday's question, believe it or not. Admitting to the Zoom room right now, please welcome Sandpiper Vacations owner himself, Nick Bryan. Hopefully he's here and ready. Hello. What's up, Nick? How are you? How are
The
you?
emotional support gay himself.
He is. He is.
I am amazing. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You are amazing.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on too. So wrong show. So my question is, would you rather Wednesday? So based on what you've seen, would you rather in all future Star Wars projects, movies or series?
Oh, series.
Good
for
question.
Me. Series for me, hands
Series?
down. Yeah, more content.
What was the question?
I don't know. I
Would
got
you-
distracted by a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Ask it again. Ask it again.
Would you rather all future Star Wars movie projects or series?
I'm gonna have to go movies.
Really? Why?
Yeah,
Name the
because
last good Star Wars movie.
What's that?
Thank you very much.
In
Nick,
the
by
last
way.
solid good Star Wars movie.
Rogue One.
Okay,
Yeah.
but besides that,
It doesn't matter. It's better than any of the Disney Plus series.
really? You think so?
For Star
Yeah.
Wars, are you kidding me?
Okay, so
Mandalorian's
here's
pretty
the
decent.
thing. Here's my reason why is at least when a movie, I know the date that it's coming out, I'm gonna get a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
These if Disney Plus would just put out the entire season in one drop, I would like Disney Plus series more. But the fact that I have to wait week to week to week to week, I can't get behind anything.
For someone who has to wait, generation, they don't have the patience like we did back in the day.
Exactly.
For someone who has to wait so long for sex, Scott, I kind of thought that you were pretty good at
being
the old waiting
patient.
game. Yeah.
What about you,
No.
Dane?
Probably more movies. The series get old after a while, and it's starting to become that way with Marvel.
See, for me, I haven't gone through everything Star Wars yet. I'll get there at some point. But Rise of Skywalker really soured me on the movies. I have very little faith in Disney making the movies, and as much as I didn't love Book of Boba Fett, I disliked Rise of Skywalker more, so I have to go serious here. I trust Disney more when it comes to series, especially with Jon Favreau being involved.
If
It's
they
an
would've-
interesting question.
7, 8, and 9, if they would have left it in its entirety in J.J. Abrams' hands, or like J.J. Abrams and Jon Favreau, they would have been brilliant movies. But instead, J.J. Abrams only did the first one, 7, and then 8 was
Ryan
garbage,
Johnson.
and then he had to fix it.
8 was the
9.
best, in my opinion. I loved 8.
I liked 8.
So it seems like the people who prefer the series tend to prefer 8. The people who prefer the movies tend to prefer 7. That's an interesting trend.
Yeah. I definitely prefer 7 over 8.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's actually an interesting question. Now, the next question, not so much.
Which MCU characters?
Oh, thank you, Adam.
would you hope-
Thanks for jumping on, but it's not your question, man. It's not your question. This is the infamous question. So we have a very special guest with us today. Please welcome Miss Emily Yobb to the show.
What?
What question do you have for Chris this evening?
Oh, let me pull it up. Ready?
I'm sorry, I didn't send you the text that I was bringing you in.
That's okay. Judgment Day. If your significant other was killed in a supervillain attack, once your grieving period was over, which MCU character's eye would you want to catch?
And how long would that grieving period be, Chris?
Eternal.
Thank you, Emily. All right, now that she's not here, what is your actual answer, Chris? She's not watching, I guarantee you.
So mine's going to be probably a little unconventional, but mine would be Laura Barton, Hawkeye's wife.
That's not a
no way it's
No,
no
you
way
have
it's
to say
actually
why.
that.
Do you
No
have
way
the
it's that
reason
actual
why
answer.
Because
down pat?
that was the answer that Adam gave.
I know.
I know it was. I know it was.
Which MCU characters' eyes would you hope to catch?
Is that your actual answer, or are you just gonna default here? You
No,
can't
what was-
default,
what
by the way.
was-
You have to give your actual answer, by the way, because we're about to give our actual answers, and we didn't say it on the episode. So.
You guys give it first. This is not a question I was prepared for.
This is a tough one for me. There's so many.
Wait a second.
Go for it.
Vision.
All right, Chris.
Vision.
Oh.
Think about it. It's for a
Is
little
it
bit.
because you're blind when you couldn't see my magnet on my fridge? You need vision?
Just think about it. I'll let you guys ponder that.
Let me tell you, there are so many
Sex
good
robot.
ones. Sex.
You
There are
said it,
so
not
many
me.
good ones. I mean, Black Widow, Scarlet Witch.
Can't say that.
Absolutely.
Kate Bishop. What's her face? The She-Hulk.
Helena?
She-Hulk, but before she's She-Hulk. Then there's Ileana.
Yelena.
Whatever.
Ileana.
Oh God, what's Nebula, but without the blue makeup. More like Jumanji Nebula, not Marvel.
Doctor
Nebula.
Who?
Is she in
She was
Doctor
in
Who?
Yeah, she was. That's how she got her start. Karen Gillan.
Gosh, Gamora, in Green Gamora,
Groot.
But I think I'm gonna have to go with Black Widow.
Okay.
Solid. Dane?
Oh, but there's
finally get the answer.
I forgot.
There's so many.
No, I
There's
have
so
to go
many.
back. I have to go back.
You forgot Mantis?
Definitely she Thor.
Oh, Natalie
Oh
Portman.
yeah,
Jane
Jane.
Foster.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot about her.
Awesome.
Yeah, Natalie Portman's on my hall pass list.
Uh, well, most of these characters are on mine, but unfortunately Jane is not. But probably, I mean, Groot is tempting. Groot is very tempting, but I don't think
he has
I
all
can,
those minions,
I don't think,
though. You don't want to
yeah,
mess with
I
the
don't think I
minions.
can say that on the record, though. I don't think I can make that. I can't say that seriously. Probably Black Widow. I'm gonna go easy. Probably Black Widow.
See, for me, I don't know if you guys have seen the Jessica Jones TV show from Netflix.
Yeah,
I would
but
go
I'm
with
not-
Trish Walker.
That's the
Oh.
best
You can
friend.
look her up
Yeah,
if you
good
don't.
call.
Okay.
Good
I do
call.
have a runner up. I do have if I had complete control, Ultron.
Well, yeah. I can see it. I can see it.
Is Scott
Honestly.
getting ready to play his tuna harmonica? What is happening?
I just
All right.
realized how dirty the speakers are on my
Yeah.
phone, so I'm
A
trying to
picture of
clean
Nick
that.
from Sandpiper popped up and he just started
I
blowing
know.
his phone as hard as he could.
All right.
All
We
right,
have one more
Dane, we
day.
have
We have one more
left.
day. We have
What do we
one more
got?
day. We just have Friday. You just have Friday. So everybody, please welcome star of Greece, Mr. Eddie Deason.
Hi, this is Eddie Deason. Plus, embrace, replace. It's a small world. Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you very much. So you have to enhance. You either have to plus, keep the same, or
Why don't
replace.
you, Dane? Why don't you play it again so that we can hear it again?
Yeah, let's you play it again. Play it again.
Hi, this is Eddie Deason. Plus, embrace, replace. It's a small world. Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, Chris, can you start this one?
I cannot believe you did a cameo for Deason to ask that question. How much was that?
We'll have to tell that story after the game.
We will.
Okay, so plus embrace replace Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise. Did we? Let's play again.
Hi, this is Eddie Deason. Plus, embrace, replace. It's a small world. Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, so it's a
Okay.
small world. Jungle Cruise and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Embrace Jungle Cruise.
Okay.
Replace Small World and plus Pirates of the Caribbean because I want it to be like the one overseas. with the
Yeah.
In
screens.
Shanghai, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 100%. You couldn't have
Solid
said it any
answer.
better.
Yeah,
Jungle
I'm
Cruise.
gonna agree. I'm gonna
Jungle
agree.
Cruise is perfect the way it is. Small World, it's a classic attraction, and I'd be sad if it went away, but I also would be okay if it went away. Pirates of the Caribbean has the biggest opportunity for enhancement right now.
Yeah.
I agree entirely. Well, I think that ends our little
Well,
game here, but there's
it
one
does.
person we do have to thank for writing all these questions. Dane, can you bring him into the room, please? I'm
No,
just
I
kidding. Adam's
cannot.
not in the way.
I cannot. He is not. I wish he was.
Well, I guess it's official. The Goof Troop has officially taken over this episode.
Thank you very much, Adam.
And thank you to
we are taking
Emily,
back our show.
Nick, Ryan, Remy, and of course Eddie Deason. We appreciate all of y'all contributing to this little surprise that Dane and I have been cooking up for a few weeks or so.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah,
I
that
hope
was
you're
super
watching.
cute.
I hope you're watching.
That was really
the
good,
stream because
guys.
that was amazing. Thank you to everybody. Okay, so the Eddie Deason cameo costs $30, and
We figured this out 2 days ago.
Why did he think it was me?
So I don't know
So,
why.
why don't we
he
give
thought
some context to our listeners first so that
Yes.
they know what we're talking
Let me
about?
give some context
So,
here.
yeah, Scott, you're probably the best to start here.
I get a phone call from Steve, who is Eddie's manager, and he's our PR guy. And he says, "Hey, we're very confused." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Is this for you, this cameo?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, this is Chris from the No New Friends podcast.
I didn't even put that, by the way. I legitimately didn't put that at all.
Something to that effect." And he's like, "So is this Chris?" And he goes, "I don't understand what the question is." And so he reads it to me. I was like, oh, Chris must have gotten this for his or something. So, and I'm like, yeah, he just has to say, you know, hi, this is Eddie Deason. Would you plus replace embrace, comma, a small world, this, and he's like, okay. He goes, I think I got it. So then he goes, can and like Eddie's in the background. He goes, did he explain it? And he's like, why don't you just have Chris call me? So I was like, well, let me talk to Chris and I'll have Chris call you. So I text Chris and I'm like, hey, did you book a cameo with Eddie Deason? Because they're very confused. Could you call Steve? I send him Steve's number, and he's like, "Wait, what? No, I didn't do it."
Talking about?
And then I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like there's probably something brewing, but I don't know who did it.
Yeah,
and I want to try to help.
Yeah. So it was okay. Me and Ryan were panicking when you texted us that, because we were like, oh my God, the bid is out now. So at least the bit wasn't out, and I was afraid he wasn't going to fulfill the order. That was my biggest fear, because I'm like, now he thinks we're an identity thief or something. So the reason that he thought it was you, it was because in Cameo we have to put for someone else, and then it said, who is this cameo for? And I said Chris, and then it said, who is it from? And I said Steve the intern. So he must have thought it was for Chris.
Oh,
he thought it must have been to Chris.
That's why Steve friend requested Steve the intern.
Exactly.
Because I'm like, why is Steve friend requesting Steve?
That
yeah,
is so
so
funny.
he must have thought it was from, like, the Chris requested it. Something got screwed up there, but at least we have the video.
Now, I will say,
thank you very much, Eddie. If you watch or listen to this.
Now, I do want to say one thing as well. When Dane and I were exploring Cameo a bit, we discovered a whole group of $1 Cameo folks. And so we're hoping to get some more $1 cameos on each of these new episodes of Creators United that we drop.
So we'll have some cameos for you guys.
Me and Scott are going to Cameo right now.
And on the flip side, we have been considering, since we're all creators, putting ourselves onto Cameo.
We will probably
do that. We don't know if we want to
point.
do that or not, because we don't know if we have the guts for that.
I'll do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. That was that took me by surprise. And Emily coming on was hilarious. I told her, I was like, I forgot to tell you I'm doing a podcast tonight.
Oh, she knew.
But,
she knew.
You'll be in bed already. So she texted me. She goes, you were saying today, quote, I didn't tell you because you would be in bed already, but I have a podcast tonight. And she goes, but I've known about this podcast since last week.
That is true.
That was all Dane's
Scott,
idea, getting Emily.
do you have an ending question for us real quick? We'll have to do this real quick, but we talked about it a little bit in the beginning. I just want to.
Okay. Hey guys, tell me about your podcast journey.
Awesome. We know exactly what you mean. So Chris, you have an interesting story. I want you to tell it real quick first. You got a little bit into it in the beginning, but not much. So let's just continue where we were talking at the beginning of the show. So you go on to Diz journey, you meet Scott and Mary.
Part of the journey for me was just becoming friends with all of you. And I'm then all the people that support, forever grateful for them. It's you know, if you would have told me back then when Scott asked me to come on to be a host that, you know, fast forward till now that we'd have, you know, supporters and Patreon members and stuff like that, I would have never believed it. But I am so grateful for every step of the way, the peaks and the valleys. I'm not grateful for the valleys, honestly. I don't think Scott is either.
I hate the valleys.
Yeah,
we're finally coming out of one into our fall surge. So I'm riding a high right now.
In my opinion, when you're in the valleys, it's easier to see both of the possible mountains that you can go to.
That was deep.
That
was deep.
That was.
Sorry, real quick, as I'm looking through Cameo, there's one that I want to be best friends with. It's Gay Jesus.
I have to ask, since you're looking at him now, was Jesus black?
Not this Jesus is not black. If you let me share my screen,
please do.
You can see
Midget Mafia OG.
Jesus, you're homosexual Christ. Some of you might know me from like TikTok and stuff, but others you can just hire me if you ever needed a gay Jesus. Anyway, I'm very excited to do whatever you want me to do. I can roast you I can pray for you. I can do both. I can do both at the
I
same
don't think
time.
we need a cameo from this guy. I think we need
and
him to come on the
happy
show.
birthday is coming
He needs to
out
be a
parties,
guest.
Christmas, birthday. Anyway, make sure to hire me.
Why does he look like Rhett?
I'll make it fun. It's always fun and unique.
That's like if Nick and Dane had a baby. It would be gay Jesus.
Well, I mean,
The chat
can
is
he
going
come on the
wild
show
right now
instead
for
of
him.
screw getting a cameo? I want him on the show. Chris, you hit it on the nail. You hit the nail on the head. I'm speaking like Remy tonight. Jesus Christ, you hit it on the nail.
Wide, airy.
Yeah,
that was. There you go. That was the appropriate time to use that.
In some in some gay ways and sometimes not. Chris, very gay. Scott, very gay way. I love each and every one of you.
Thanks, Dane.
So I think everyone can attest to this. It is amazing to see how far not only your show comes, but everyone in our little group, because everyone has shows, and unless if it's Sophisticated Gentlemen who just started it a month ago, or me and Remy who's been going at it for 4 years.
It's all coming out now.
It is.
It's compromise.
Dane and Remy have been going
two
at it for 4 years.
And so that brings us to our next guest, Mark McKay. Mark, you got 5 minutes.
Mark, you have 5 minutes.
An updated menu has been posted at Disney's The Plaza restaurant.
Thank you very much, Remy, for that.
It's neat how there's all these different paths, and that's one of the things I enjoy the most about this show, how we get to chat with different people. I know coming up, we're hoping to have some folks from the Nerd Archive podcast coming on at some point, so we'll be chatting with them. I know Studio 21, and it came from Disney Plus, are on lists that we'd like to have on the show at some point as well. So, well, with that, I think we've reached the end of our show here. I know that Scott does have to head out, but Chris, thank you so much for coming on. And again, I would like to sincerely thank Ryan, Remy, Nick, Emily, and Eddie for
on behalf of Ryan,
on behalf of
Remy, Nick, Emily, and Eddie Deason.
But we truly appreciate you guys helping us out. Adam, you're probably not going to listen to this, but thanks for the questions. That made for a great episode. And thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of my co-hosts, the Father, Scott, and the Son, Dane, I am the Holy Spirit, Ryan. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
And Scott,
we love you.
We love you.
I love you guys.